So with your permission, can we play the bio video of Nitin Gadkari ji, sir?
There are followers, there are leaders, and then there are visionary. Taking people and society to where they ought to be rather than where they want to be is what separates a visionary from a mere leader. This rare quality is what sets apart Nitin Gadkari, Minister of Road Transport and Highways, from many of his ilk. Born in 1957 into a free-thinking agricultural family, Nitin Gadkari at heart has always been a social worker inspired by the RSS founder KB Hedgewar's ideals of humanity and nation building. Taking off as a Minister of the Public Works Department in 1995, Nitin Gadkari made groundbreaking changes in the speed the city of Mumbai traveled. So impressed was the then PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji with Gadkari ji's performance as PWD Minister that he offered him a responsibility of weaving road nets in the whole of rural India. The outstanding Swarnim Chaturbhuj Yojana, of which Shri Gadkari ji was the chairman, is the culmination of these efforts. 55 flyovers dotting the city have made commuting in Mumbai much easier than ever before. The foundation for the magnificent Bandra-Worli Sea Link was also readied during this time. The jewel in the crown of Maharashtra, India's first expressway, the world-class Pune-Mumbai Expressway, is also a futuristic project imagined and brought to fruition by Nitin Gadkari. Connecting over 13,000 unconnected villages with an all-weather $100 million project is another feat accomplished by this far-sighted visionary. Nagpur, his hometown, has seen first of its kind double-decker bridge. An innovative beautification of flyover using local artists and painting of great political and social leaders was added attraction. Ajni Intermodal Station will have connectivity between long-distance buses, city buses, railways, metro and indirect link with city airport. Nagpur Broad Gauge Metro, which is a commuter rail project planned for Nagpur city and extending up to adjacent areas of Wardha, Narkhed, Ramtek, Bhandara and Chhindwara. World-class institutions like IIT, IIM and AIIMS emerge and thrive under his watchful gaze. This is in addition to the over 1,000 Ekal Vidyalayas that go a long way into molding the future tribal generations. Performing over 10,000 successful heart surgeries is another stupendous achievement in his illustrious career as a warm-hearted do-gooder. The city of Nagpur is the first city to explore alternative biofuels for transport. These include Bio-CNG buses. His innovative idea of India's first of its kind CNG-run tractor has proved to be farmer-friendly, cost-effective and helping in reducing air pollution. In a historic push for biofuels, Gadkari ji is introducing flex engines which will run on 100% ethanol, directly providing additional income to farmers and the agricultural sector. Sanskritik Mahotsav, motivating local artists to go nationally. Krida Mahotsav, supporting local sportsmen to showcase their abilities and motivate them to go nationally and on Olympic level. Projects like AgroVision are helping farmers with latest technologies and practices. His idea of using sewage water for power generation, use of ethanol as fuel have added a whole new dimension to the city's development program. As India's current Minister of Road Transport Highways, he has re-energized the whole sector with his clear vision. With more than 40,000 kilometers of national highways constructed in the last 7 years, 60,000 kilometers of new roads under his supervision are being constructed. The speed of road construction from a mere 3 kilometers in 2014 has grown to 40 kilometers in 2021. The dazzling Delhi-Mumbai Expressway has set 4 new world records with 12,500 cubic meters of concrete being laid down on the 4-lane stretch of 25.4 kilometers. These world records are as follows. Highway construction rate at 37 km per hour. Construction of 2.5 km long 4-lane concrete road near Vadodara at Delhi-Mumbai Expressway in 24 hours. Laying down of 26 km long bitumen road at Solapur-Bijapur section of NH52 in 21 hours. A 50% growth in the length of the national highways in the last 7 years of the NDA government is a monumental achievement. The figures went up from 91,287 kilometers to 1,37,625 kilometers. Going further, INR 3.32 lakh crore is allotted for 22 greenfield expressways, initiated by the bridge building messiah, as he is fondly referred to. Bharatmala and Sagarmala, two world-class access-controlled expressway projects led by Nitin Gadkari, are presently in various stages of construction. The Bharatmala project seeks to eliminate the perennial road traffic movement imbroglio across the country. With Nitin Gadkari taking charge, India's much maligned logistics sector has also metamorphosed from a point-to-point model to a hub-and-spoke model. This multimodal transport system integrates railways, highways, inland waterways and airports, conjuring a highly effective transportation grid, substantially reducing logistic costs and pollution. 35 multimodal logistic parks, 50 economic corridors, 10 intermodal stations are being readied for the monumental effort. Logistics summits with the international participants, including government organizations and the World Bank, leading to MOUs worth 2 lakh crore, have been held to add muscle to the initiative. Among his other endeavors, unprecedented progress is evident in port industrialization, national water highway traffic, jetties for coastal tourism, Ganga Yamuna cleaning, fundraising, asset monetization project, toll operate transfer. As MSME Minister, he has gone all the way to promote entrepreneurship, helping rural youth to adopt Khadi as a means of self-employment. The MSME Ministry has also found wings under Mr. Gadkari. He changed the definition for classification of MSME. Now, a company investing 1 crore and earning a turnover of 5 crore will be classified as micro company. The portal Udyam Registration UR offers faceless, fully online, paperless and transparent MSME registration process, fully integrated with income tax and GSTN systems. His brainchild, Jal Kranti, Buldhana pattern of water conservation which changed economy of villages by rejuvenating water bodies, has won a global award. Mr. Gadkari introduced the first ever vehicle scrapping policy, which proved to be the fight against pollution and in the interest of road and vehicle safety. New FASTag policy is helping commuters to save their fuel and time on toll plazas. Some of his major work, like unprecedented push for research and development in electric vehicles, leading research and development for usage of waste materials in highway construction to cut down highway construction costs and generate wealth out of waste materials, developing ropeways and funicular railways in the remotest parts of the country, thus boosting tourism. Panchgaon project for women of making carpets from scrap cloth is a classic example of women empowerment. Khadi Prakritik paint, which is made from cow dung, is aiding in employment in rural areas and have exponentially improved rural economy. When all industries were shut in the pandemic, Mr. Gadkari empathized with people by conducting webinars and 800 plus video conferences. His quick decision making in procuring oxygen PPE kits helped those affected by the deadly virus. He generously donated ambulances to NGOs, helped to set up oxygen plants, factory to make remdesivir injections and injections for mucormycosis. Thus, by showcasing strong leadership and taking quick decisions, he handled the COVID situation effectively. His affable nature goes beyond everyday personal equations as he continues to transmit his radiance and ideas to every individual or organization with his unmatched zeal. Gifted with an ability to dream the seemingly impossible dreams and getting them to fruition also defines this clairvoyant visionary. Nitin Gadkari shines on as one of modern India's pioneering leaders and his work a template for the coming generations. If there ever was the infrastructure man of India, he would answer to the name Nitin Jairam Gadkari.
Good evening, sirs. This is Venkat Raj, Deputy Director General for SAE India. Thank you for accepting and welcome to the first ever hydrogen and gas-based mobility conference. May I please request Madam Rashmi Urvadeshi, former Director of ARI and President of SAE India, to welcome formally both the ministers. Madam.
Namaste, sir. Honorable Shri Nitinji Gadkari, Honorable Union Minister of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Honorable Gajendra Singh Ji Shekhawat, Union Minister for Jal Shakti. Very warm welcome to you, both of you, sir, for this two-day conference. With your permission, we started the conference today in the afternoon, and it will go on till tomorrow. We at SAE, Society for Automotive Engineers, are a group of mobility professionals and very happy and proud to contribute in the technology that would enable India to self-sustain in energy, achieve carbon neutrality, and at affordable cost. Sir, your vision of clean, efficient, and pollution-free India, especially transportation sector, has been always a guiding force for all of us as technocrats to move ahead with various technologies that we handle. Sir, with your vision, we already have done a lot on biofuels. As a major breakthrough would be to move ahead and work towards hydrogen as the future energy source. Hydrogen, whether it comes or can be utilized either as a direct fuel or for fueling the vehicles through fuel cells, or producing electricity and using the electricity for running the electric vehicles, or many more industrial applications, is what we discuss and plan to discuss in this two-day conference. Much has been done, sir, on the vehicle technology side, and much more is required to be done on infrastructure, logistics, and integrating in the mainstream of transportation. And that's where, sir, we look at you as a visionary in infrastructure man of the country to guide us, to advise us, and to lead us towards a better and a sustainable mobility. We warmly welcome you, sir, for this two-day conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Rashmi ji. Sir, this is a digital conference. Otherwise, we would have actually given a physical bouquet. We wanted to welcome both the ministers with a e-bouquet. We are in Chennai, and it will be given to Pune and to you. Madam, if you could please accept this as a token of appreciation for coming here. It is just a e-bouquet, Gadkari ji, for you. And Shekhawat ji, thank you for coming. Thank you. For you. We do have on the stage Mr. Suresh. So with your permission, if I can request the conference convener, Dr. Arun, to say in just 2 minutes whatever has happened. Dr. Arun Kumar Sampath is the chair for meetings and exposition board, sir. 2 minutes, Dr. Arun.
Okay. Namaskar. Good evening. Shri Honorable Minister Road Transport, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, and Minister for Jal Shakti, Shri Gajendra Singh Shekhawat ji, and Mr. Suresh. It's a pleasure. First conference in SA India that we wanted to take as part of our contribution for nation building and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this is just a small step from our side, and we are grateful for your support. I will just walk you through some of the events that happened today. We had the welcome by Madam President this afternoon. Then we had a wonderful speech by Niti Aayog CEO Shri Amitabh Kant ji, who touched upon specific requirements for green hydrogen on series production and affordability. Then we had a couple of keynote addresses, one from Sheetal Kumar Joshi ji from ANSYS. Then we also had an international representation from Miss Monica Saraiva Panik, representing SAE Brazil, where Shri Nitin Gadkari ji always quotes that they have flex fuel engines and has been passionately trying to promote them in India. So she talked about biofuels, carbon neutrality, green hydrogen, etc. Then we had another presentation by Mr. Anish Ponwala of Linde, Germany. He represents the Linde office in India. He touched upon how Linde has been contributing to the carbon neutrality in India. Then we had another international presentation from US, this time from Cummins, Executive Director, Engineering, Dr. Ram Ottikuti. He delivered a wonderful lecture on the application of hydrogen for transportation and mobility. And the last item in the event today was a wonderful panel discussion chaired by Mr. Anand Vasudevan on the challenges in nationwide rollout of green hydrogen for mobility and industrial applications. The good thing about this panel discussion was a good number of panelists were young and they were from startups and they offered out of box thinking and ideas so we could take up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Arun. Without much ado, may we please request Minister of Jal Shakti, Shri Gajendra Singh Shekhawat. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nitin Gadkari ji, sitting on the dais, Mrs. Rashmi, President SAI, Dr. Arun Kumar Sompat, Dr. Rama Kumaran, Mr. Suresh, and Mr. Venkataraj. It was just a coincidence. Today in the Parliament, both of us, Honorable Nitin ji and myself, were sitting in the chamber of the Speaker of the Parliament, where he mentioned that he is joining this conference today evening. And since I have a little interest in the field of hydrogen and changing the economy and bringing Atmanirbharta to India, in India through the hydrogen route or electrifying the Indian economy. So I requested Nitin ji that if it is, I was not aware that it's a formal program or formal conference. I thought that as Honorable Nitin ji always does, he always calls a couple of people and just freelancing discussion. So I thought I would also like to join the discussion. I came here. See, I have a little understanding about hydrogen. I know I have studied a little because we all are aware that our biggest challenge in our country, in India, is our trade deficit. The difference between import and export. And as far as the import deficit is concerned, this trade imbalance is concerned, is almost $160 billion we are importing. 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए का तेल हम साल देश में हर साल इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. दुनिया में जब भी whenever it came, the opportunity came in the transformation in the field of power, it occurred. It was atomic energy for the first time. We were the last to board the bus. Then solar came. Though we are doing under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, we are doing the biggest solar in the world and biggest renewable. As far as the electricity is concerned, we are having the biggest chunk of renewable energy in the world. Today our renewable component is almost more than 30%. Installed capacity is more than 30% of total energy requirement. 38% it has reached, but effectively it is, I was told by Honorable Power Minister today only, maybe 38 or so, because he is more aware about that. But it is, we are the largest component holder. But we all are aware, and as you said, that hydrogen is the future of energy. And this is the time when we can become a global leader or global champion into this. This is an opportunity with us that we can be the pioneers of this technology in the world. We all know that hydrogen using as a source of power or source of energy or source of fuel is not an uncommon phenomena. We are using in submarines and all for last almost more than 100+ years. But the hydrogens we used to derive from either from coal as a brown hydrogen or as a blue hydrogen or as a from water, breaking the water, electrolyzing the water, we are calling it green hydrogen. And the entire world is going towards green hydrogen. See, the cost of the power because of the solar is coming drastically down. In our country also, it is almost 1.99 paisa, 1 rupee 99 paisa, which was the lowest bid, though it is now again escalated to 2.3. But the lowest bid in the world is 76 paisa per unit in Saudi in the month of April. And we have to have a lesson from Saudi. The day when their program is announced and they announced their hydrogen program, the statement given by the Energy Minister of Saudi Arabia that we are known as the oil exporting nation. But we are no more an oil exporting nation. Now we are going towards energy exporting nation. A nation which is sitting on the maximum quantity of oil is running towards hydrogen. And our challenges, the biggest problem is oil and crude. And we have we have the opportunity to transform everything. And through that, we can, I am sure that whenever I'll be having an opportunity, I can give a detailed presentation about this, because right before coming here, we were having a discussion with Amitabh Kanji, and he gave a presentation to us. And I also gave a presentation to the group of ministers. We can turn the table. And this is the time when we have to think big and start thinking big. Not only for the power, substitute as for the power, but also for the wheeling the entire automobiles. And hydrogen can be utilized as a media of storing the energy. See, as I was saying that the cost of energy is drastically reduced because of the solar. But solar's the biggest challenge is it is available for 8 to 10 hours only. So if we need to, the entire world was working on to find out the media of storage. Battery is not workable. The cost, the life cycle, the limitation, and the size, that limits the battery to go on big manner. But the hydrogen, globally it has been identified, and the people have zeroed down that hydrogen will be the media to store the power and future power storage system. Hydrogen is the lightest material, so it cannot be transported. So decentralization of hydrogen manufacturing, manufacture electricity wherever the possibilities are through the renewables, maybe it is solar, maybe it is offshore, or the wind, and transfer the electricity, produce hydrogen wherever it is required. And what I see the future is that each and every petrol pump of the country will be having a hydrogen electrolyzer there, and they will be producing their own hydrogen and filling into the vehicles. This is the future. And by next 10 or 10 years or more, maximum 15 years, entire world will be moving on hydrogen, either directly on hydrogen fuel cell driven vehicles, or the electricity which is being stored in the hydrogen, or hydrogen as a media of storage. So the future is really very bright, and I'm so happy that people of the industry are also concerned, and they have started thinking on that. India, the vision of Prime Minister of Atmanirbhar, India can achieve only through electrifying the economy. We need to electrify the economy, and hydrogen is the only way out. The combination of solar and hydrogen can change the fate of our country and all of us. Thank you.
I think we are doubly happy to have both. We are a growing organization, and we work with constituents of NATRIP. So may we please request Nitin Gadkari ji to deliver his address, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Yes. My cabinet colleague Shekhawat ji, Mrs. Rashmi Urdhwareshe, President of SA India, Dr. Arun Kumar Sampath, Chairperson and Exposition Boards SA India, Dr. SSV Ram Kumar, Director, Mr. KY Suresh, President of ZF India, Mr. Venkatraj K, DDG SE India, distinguished dignitaries, invitees and all my dear friends. At the outset, I would like to thank the Society of Automotive Engineers for inviting me to address this virtual conference on the theme Vision 2050, Achieving the Net Zero Carbon Emission through Hydrogen and Gas-Based Mobility. Here I would like to congratulate and extend my best wishes to Mrs. Rashmi ji and her team for consistently pursuing the appropriate technology for the production and application of hydrogen as a prominent energy source in India. India is one of the fastest growing economy leading through sustainable and climate neutral development. We strongly believe that society should be livable, workable and sustainable for all, with an important focus on ethics, ecology and the environment. India is committed to meet the Paris Climate Agreement, where efforts are centered to reduce the carbon emission by 33 to 35% by 2030. We are also committed to achieving net zero carbon emission by 2050 as per the vision proposed by our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Till now, India has made significant progress towards improving green energy access while increasing the integration of renewable energy, and currently India stands at the 5th position for overall renewable energy installed capacity. With government supportive policies and initiatives, we are confident that India will even surpass the target of renewable energy of 450 gigawatt by 2030. Being a road transport and highway minister, I am responsible for the development of highways and road infrastructure across the country, ensuring accessibility and mobility of persons, goods and vehicles with ease, safety and efficiency. We always plan highway in a manner which is integrated and complementary to other modes of transport like rail, waterways and airways. With the second largest road network in the world, it carries 90% passenger traffic and 70% logistics. Our transport sector consumes 18% of the total energy demand in India. The 70% of this energy demand is fulfilled through imported conventional fuels like petrol and diesel. India consumes about 30% of the world's oil and petrol diesel needs, and unfortunately our energy demand is heavily import dependent, that is 85% for crude oil, 53% for gas and 24% for coal, and we are spending over $160 billion on this import. We import rupees 8 lakh crore of crude oil as a transport fuel, and this is going to get doubled in the next 4 to 5 years. Further, India is the world's third largest emitter with 3.6 gigatons of CO2 equivalent across all the sectors. These issues have a huge impact on the economy, environment and human health. There is an urgent need to decarbonize the transport sector by reducing the harmful greenhouse gas GHG emissions. I will request to all of you that you are all working on particularly this green hydrogen, but at the same time we need to make more concentration on this carbon dioxide. Whether how we can make by our research to convert CO2 into value addition. There are a lot of technology that they are converting CO2 into methanol and ethanol, and in Russia they are converting CO2 on same gas. So this CO2 is a big problem, and it is already in the power project and everywhere this CO2 is creating pollution in the country. We need import substitute cost effective pollution free and indigenous. We need to promote and adopt import substitute cost effective and indigenous and pollution free modes of transport. My ministry decided to lay emphasis on the alternate fuel to achieve multiple outcomes like environment concerns, reducing import dependency, and achieve energy security. That one of the important things which I want to suggest you that today, presently, our agriculture is facing a big crisis. We have sugar surplus, corn surplus, rice surplus, wheat surplus. Our MSP is higher than the international price and the commercial price. This is a big problem for the government. We are giving every year more than 1,50,000 crore to compensate this. So my suggestion is, by using our agriculture, how we can make diversification of agriculture towards energy and power sector. Now we have decided to giving priority for making ethanol not from only sugarcane juice, molasses, BAB molasses, but now we have giving permission to making ethanol from rice, corn, and even any type of food grain. The second generation of ethanol, we can make it from biomass. So now presently the ethanol economic size is 40,000 crore. And my dream is, as an agriculturist, that we were to make it up to 2 lakh crore. So my ministry, within 3 months, we are going to launch a scheme that there will be a flex engine system like Brazil, USA and Canada, where all petrol engine vehicles, there will be choice with the consumers that either they can take 100% petrol or 100% bioethanol. The government has already given permission for that. In the Pune, 2 ethanol pump has already inaugurated by the Prime Minister. And I am now calling the meeting of automobile manufacturer, particularly starting auto rickshaw on 100% bioethanol, then bikes, scooters on 100% on ethanol, and even already we need to plan development to make buses, trucks on bioethanol. So this can be the good thing where we need to make more concentration on that. We are working to bring about an integrated roadmap and create opportunities for alternative clean and green transport fuel like electricity, bio-CNG, LNG, ethanol, methanol and hydrogen fuel cell. As expected, we are gaining good momentum in the electric vehicles ecosystem in the country. There is a good response for a battery operated small electric vehicles like a scooter, electric three-wheelers, e-rickshaws, e-cars and e-bikes. We have abundant solar energy. Solar generated electricity charges are very low. Already the Shekhawat has giving reference, it comes to less than 2 rupees. So this can be a great opportunity for all of us. And ensure a zero carbon emission cycle in the mobility sector. As we all know that green hydrogen is made by splitting water, that is using renewable power, and the water minister is here. It's very, I appreciate, and he has already knowledge about it. He has got we don't have the shortage of water. We need a planning of water management, that is to be the need of the country. So by using solar energy or by using the tidal energy in the sea, we can use it for making hydrogen, green hydrogen from the water. So this can be a good economically solution. But my suggestion is, we need proven technology and we need economic viability. If the technology is proven but the cost effectiveness, if it is no economic viability is not, then it will be a problem. So the green hydrogen as an energy carrier can replace some of our energy imports, and green hydrogen is a zero carbon fuel and sustainable alternative to coal, oil and gas based energy sources. 70% of green hydrogen production costs come from electricity cost, and hence surplus electricity from renewable energy sources can enhance green hydrogen production economics. I am giving you one example. Yesterday I have a meeting with the Chief Secretary of Himachal Pradesh for ropeway, cable car and funicular railway. I requested them that you can make this system, transport system on public transport system on electricity, ropeway, cable car, funicular railway, and you give just the cost of the electricity, they are giving 50% concession for ropeway, cable car and funicular railway. It comes to something less than 3 rupees. So there it can be a possibility that internal rate of return we are going to increase, and which can be economically viable, where we can invite the private investor for that project. So exactly where in the state where the energy is available with the low cost, we can make the policy by which we can encourage them for private investment, because government resources are limited. And that is the reason that we need to find out the new economic innovative models by which we can find out the solution. This is feasible by locally utilizing lower solar power prices at rupees 2 per kilowatt hour only. With the large solar, wind, hydro and waste potential in India can lead the world in green hydrogen production and will emerge as the electro state, thus become energy independent. My request is we can convert the solid waste management and liquid waste management, where we can get it methane from that, and from methane we can get bio-CNG. But we need to concentrate on the technology where solid waste management, whether it is possible to convert it into the green hydrogen, that can be also a good source, and which for Clean Bharat mission, it can be a great thing for the country. The Global Hydrogen Council has also classified India as a net exporter of green hydrogen from 2030 due to cheap renewable tariff. So this is really a strength for the country. The green hydrogen could be an ideal power source for energy intensive industries like refining, steel, cement, fertilizer, mining and industrial heating. These industrial sectors can give the initial scale to bring the prices down. Once the green hydrogen prices are down via industries, hydrogen-based transport can compete with the fossil fuel-based transport. That is exact need of the country. The current price of hydrogen in India is estimated at rupees 880 per kg, which increases the fuel cost. For hydrogen transport to succeed, green hydrogen prices should come below rupees 100 per kg. This can only happen when green hydrogen is produced at a large scale. And the government has announced a national hydrogen energy mission, where rupees 800 crore has been set aside in the current union budget to establish hydrogen-based energy ecosystem in the country. Production of hydrogen and e-fuels is the first step in moving towards the hydrogen economy. In battery-operated EVs, we can generate 81% value of lithium-ion batteries in India, but it has various challenges regarding range, capacity, size and charging time behind battery chemistry also. There involves heavy carbon emission at different stages, and I am pursuing research for its more sustainable substitutes such as aluminum ion, zinc ion, sodium ion batteries. Our research and academic institutions like ISRO, DRDO, IITs are working hard for the development of indigenous and low-cost battery technologies such as metal ion and metal air, etc. Simultaneously, we are also looking for prospects about green hydrogen as a potential transport fuel. Research performed by IIT Madras on hydrogen fuel cell is very interesting, where they are trying to generate energy from sea-based salt water and solar power. India should focus on hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle technology and exclusive for heavy long distance trucks, buses, marine and aviation application. Both battery electric vehicle and fuel cell vehicles technologies are complementary to each other and are all set to overtake fossil run automotive by 2050. For production and dispensing of hydrogen electrolyzer, technology has to be developed locally, and government is supportive of local manufacturing and investment by electrolyzer companies can boost setting up the hydrogen ecosystem. As India is a highly cost conscious market and there are huge expectations of rapid reduction in the cost of electrolyzer and also fuel cells. To scale up and keep cost in the control, we must have projects ready that could use such electrolyzers and fuel cells, thus creating demand which can be ramped up quickly. An Indian company, Reliance Industries Limited, is going to invest rupees 75,000 crore, that is $10 billion, into the Indian green energy business. A major part of it will be used to build an electrolyzer and a fuel cell, which would significantly boost the country's nascent hydrogen economy. With government incentives, localization of components, market demand, and increased volumes, the overall economics of hydrogen fuel cell technology is likely to improve. The hydrogen ecosystem can create a $20 billion green technology market in India and will enhance domestic job creation. In addition, there is a massive opportunity to create regional hubs to export high-value green product and EPC services owing to the nascent stage on the industry. The Tata Motors has already developed hydrogen-powered buses which will soon be part of the public transport means. Indian Oil NTPC have done initial tenders on this, and we encourage other PSUs to come forward and become a part of this hydrogen revolution. I also came to know that UK, Germany have developed a train running on hydrogen fuel cell technology, which is noiseless, pollution free, and carries 300 passenger fully AC coaches and run at the speed of 150 km per hour. We could even think of dedicated mini metro and broad gauge metro lines which can be powered by hydrogen. KPIT Technologies Limited has developed a prototype car running on hydrogen fuel cell technology. Schemes like PLI, Production Link Incentive, have a potential to significantly scale up hydrogen manufacturing in India, and because that will incentivize foreign manufacturers, especially from the European Union, which already have collaboration or operation in India, such as Linde, Shell, Bosch, JDF, Thyssen Group, and we can also look at production and consumption hubs of hydrogen near large petrochemical complexes and refineries, train stations, and strategic locations along the Bharatmala highways, with long haul transport based on hydrogen and fuel cells. The hydrogen dispensing infrastructure on petrol pumps and highways will further boost hydrogen mobility. India can be seen as the next exporter of hydrogen in the future of European, Southeast Asian countries and Africa. Hence, building local infrastructure is very important. Startups and SMEs can play an important role in innovation and quick development, whereas established companies can provide a large-scale manufacturing base. The time is right for the government to tap the demographic dividend and start serious planning for the human resource need of this sector, and a panel could be formed to offer an MTech course in hydrogen and related subject at the Indian Institute of Petroleum and IITs. The policy clarity is very important. The industry should not be confused between batteries and fuel cells, and each has its distinct markets. The immediate focus on transport is to build world-class technologies for hydrogen transport for the next 5 to 10 years. India should build a world-class fuel cells and hydrogen storage tanks that are sustainable, that are suitable for Indian temperatures and conditions. The nation NAFIOM member contribute around 40% of the fuel cell cost. Only one company in the USA named DuPont controls this technology. India has to create alternative technology to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat in fuel cell technologies. Piloting of SCNG, hydrogen blended with CNG, is also going on, and it will be helped the transport sector learning to handle hydrogen. It is also true that the hydrogen fuel vehicles and hydrogen dispensing stations would need to adopt more stringent safety measures. The government is laying down 33,000 km of natural gas pipeline on fast track with a design capacity of 815 million metric standards cubic meter per day. The LNG as a fuel is economically viable for long run trucks and buses, and I have just inaugurated India's first commercial LNG pump in Nagpur. The economics is so good that the cost of conversion is rupees 10 lakh from diesel to LNG, which can be recovered in 295 days with an average of 5 km per hour. We can also convert LNG by compressing it into CNG, and which is suitable and economically viable for a driving range of 200 to 250 km. While LNG is good for a 1000 km driving range. Our agriculture is our real strength, and we intended to diversify that into the energy and power sector. The waste to wealth and waste to energy is very important. We are also insisting industry develop construction equipment operating on bio-CNG, ethanol and electricity. We have converted 400 city buses in Nagpur to run on bio-CNG generated from municipal waste. We are rapidly developing innovative mobility solutions like ropeway, cable car, funicular rail, road train buses, and we have planned to shift public transport and logistics to 100% green and clean source of energy. I sincerely hope that all these initiatives would bring revolution in the transport energy sector, and it would support and encourage a green and clean energy ecosystem in the country. I am looking forward to your progressive recommendations and suggestions on how we can work together to create the right set of policy frameworks and nurture the right ecosystem for hydrogen and gas-based mobility in the country. Our government is very much supportive and committed to all around and all inclusive development. A collective effort of all stakeholders would bring remarkable improvement in climate resettlement development. Again, I will request you that we need to create more communication, cooperation and coordination between the all stakeholders. Your initiative is really appreciate. And my suggestion to you is that if you can make the collaboration with the international companies, the research institutions, then it can be more useful. For making this sustainable development and the technology, where we need to concentrate on the ecosystem, at the same time we need to reduce the cost and we must have the appropriate 100% perfect technology. This combination is going to helpful for India. So this is exactly the way my honorable colleague Mr. Shekhawat ji is also supporting all this mission. He represents the in charge of the water ministry. So water is available. He can give permission to make hydrogen from water on every dam, every lake, even in the sea also. I feel that your innovative ideas, your new research, successful practices are very important. The innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, research, skill and successful practices, we name it as a knowledge. And this conversion of knowledge into wealth is the future. I feel that the dream of our Prime Minister to make India as Atmanirbhar Bharat, the one of the important subject is the hydrogen economy, alternative fuel. We need to reduce the import of this particular the petroleum fuel. And this is the time for going more concentration on ethanol, methanol, biodiesel, bio-CNG, electricity, green hydrogen. And we need to find out different alternatives for that. I got opportunity that my tractor, own tractor, agriculture tractor, the first tractor in India we have converted on CNG and my saving is 1,25,000 rupees per year. Now this is save money is to earn money. If we can give appropriate technology to the poor people, the farmers, if they can save 1,25,000 rupees per year, it can be a great thing for them. So this is the time that we need to take the technology to the poor people, those who are socially, economically, educationally backward. We need to create more jobs in the rural area, agriculture area, tribal area, 115 aspirant districts. So the development in tribal area, forest area, agriculture area, particularly rural and agroeconomy, that is equally important. And I really appreciate your initiative for that. Rashmi ji, I know actually I am going to appoint her on our advisory committee. Already the file is prepared, I am going to sign it. And we are taking some 5 to 6 experts who are renowned expert in automobile. And we will take their advice for framing the policy for the future of our country. I am really happy for your initiative. I am giving my all best wishes to all of you. And today it is really a great thing that my honorable colleague Mr. Shekhawat, who is keenly interested in development of green hydrogen and he has got already a very, very thorough knowledge for the subject. And when I invite him, he's here. It is also a pleasure for me. So our teamwork 100% will useful for you for the future. And with these few words, I once again thanks SAE India for providing me this opportunity to share my perspective on the important topic, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Sir, they say hydrogen will be the oxygen in the coming decades. So when you combine these two, what we get is the Jal Shakti. And we are actually more than delighted, double delighted to have Shekhawat ji and yourselves. Thank you so much. We have
just one sec. I would like to intervene here.
Yes.
We have, sirs, the think tank of SAE India under the
Yes.
chairmanship of Dr. SSV Ramkumar. We would seek Honorable Minister's time separately and seek your guidance in this biofuels as well as on hydrogen. We will separately seek time. Yeah, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, madam. Yes. So we have about 5 questions? Is it okay to take it up, sir?
Hi, yes, you can take one. Hi, yes, you can take 1-2 questions, no problem.
Title sponsor ZF. Since the fuel cell electric vehicles are part of e-mobility vision for India, they would be pleased to know what proposals Government of India would like to propagate for faster adoption of fuel cell based e-mobility technology.
Sir, actually our all these subjects are divided into different ministries. Giving any incentives and other thing, it is with the finance ministry. Then in the planning, Niti Aayog is there. So government has given the priority for all this because the reason that government has given 800 crore for development of this hydrogen, green hydrogen mission. So already we are working on that. My suggestion is when it will start, we will go to the Prime Minister and Finance Ministry and we will make the coordination between the ministry and we will make the appropriate policy for that. My request to you that Amitabh Kant is one of the dynamic person in Niti Aayog and where Niti Aayog we will organize meetings with from all of you and considering all the things that our target is how we can increase the export. Automobile export, already our already industry size is 6,50,000 crore and out of which 3 lakh crore our export is there. Our two-wheeler companies, all leading company, they are basically Hero, Bajaj and TVS, they are exporting 50% of their production. My dream is to make India as #1 manufacturing hub of automobile in the world. And for that reason, we are now already clear our scrapping policy by which all raw material will be available with the low cost. That is the strength for our country. And so in that way, when it will start and people will take the initiative by considering the suggestions from all the stakeholders, we will plan the policy and then 100% we will support it and we will give a good solution for all your problems. Presently as a minister, it will be difficult for me to give you all the details about it because ultimately it should be approved by the cabinet and the finance ministry because their authority is to approve the schemes and incentives for that.
Last question. Having achieved significant milestones in the renewable energy sector, the sector is now ready to take next leap towards green hydrogen to fast track India's clean energy transition. We would be pleased to know the kind of policy support that can be given to power producers.
I will request you that the petroleum companies and NTPC is now taking initiative. Whatever the concessions we are offering for the electric vehicles, particularly electric buses and electric vehicle, you give the suggestion and also I will talk with Amitabh Kant and the Finance Minister and Heavy Industries Ministry. Mr. Shekhawat is here and we will recommend it to government that whatever the concession we are offering for electric vehicles, we can offer that all concession for green hydrogen also. So I will talk with the people, but it is in the initial stage. So first of all, government is committed for supporting you. So whenever the people are coming forward for making of this all initiative related with green hydrogen, 100% government will give you the good support. And my suggestion to all of you also that because the Rashmi ji and all of you are expert people in the automobile industry, we have all the things, the technology, you need to find out some alternative solution for conversion of CO2 because CO2 is creating a lot of problem as far as our health sector is concerned. The air pollution is a big problem. Air pollution, water pollution and sound pollution, these are the three important challenges for the country. You know what are the problems we are facing in the capital Delhi. So today, not only in transport, everywhere we need to have with a green approach. So somewhere if any study group, any research group, any IIT people or some scientists like you, if they can work on CO2 also, that can be a great thing for the country. And regarding all this thing, I will talk with Amitabh Kanji, the Niti Aayog will take the initiative, we will frame the policy, and if it is to be needed, we will go to the cabinet and finance ministry, and we will talk with the prime minister, and we will try to find out the solution, and we will try our level best that how you will get maximum concession, encouragement from the government side.
Time to propose the vote of thanks, and we are indeed very, very happy to have both the ministers from Jal Shakti and MORTH. And thank you for sparing your time.
Can I make one small statement?
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Suresh, President of ZF India region.
So, honorable ministers and SAE, I can only say from ZF side, we are actively working on hydrogen cells, and there is quite some research going on. And we are also active in India on the wind turbine transmission manufacturing, while automotive is our main business. So we work quite a lot on renewable energy. So in a short, in just one statement, I can only say we can support all the initiatives with whatever research we are doing, and we would also be very happy and glad to participate along with SAE or with any initiatives from the ministry which is coming up, and actively support this big mission of make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are actively working on all this. We are almost a 5,000 crore company here with 12,000 employees, and we want to expand in the region. So I can only offer my support from our organization. Thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh, President ZF India region. Thank you, Gadkari ji. We are getting into the Silver Jubilee year with 486 colleges, collegiate clubs, and 5,000 members. And members are from OEMs and tier 1, tier 2 suppliers. We look forward to your continued support. Thank you, Shekhawat ji. Thank you, Gadkari ji. It's our honor to have you. Jai Hind.